What's going on? I just recorded my first podcast a couple hours ago, but I want to record another one. When I recorded the first one, I had a great time. I lost track of time, and I felt like I entered like a flow state. I've heard the advice before. If I sound a little lispy, it's because I'm wearing my retainer, but um, please don't judge me or make fun of me. I'm wildly insecure. um, the thing is, I've heard, and the one of the reasons I want to do it again is I've heard that like the thing that makes you lose track of time, like that's your purpose. That's what you were put on this earth to do. I've heard that before, and I feel like I might have hit something. And I also, there's a song called Playboy Cardi called I Can't Believe That We Made It This Far. And whenever I'm feeling incredible, that is the song I play because that is how I feel. It explains it perfectly. I want it to be my wedding song, I think. My first dance at my wedding, I want that, and I think I will sob. I will cry my eyes out. And I don't know how to explain it. I don't think I need to. I think it explains itself. Like, that's when I'm talking about the pros of going through some shit. And I may be an upper I might be a white kid who was raised in an upper middle class family who, on paper, I have arguably a perfect life. But it has not been easy, I'll tell you that. But every time, and that's what I'm talking about, the pros of going through some shit is because anytime I feel good, it's like I cannot believe we made it this far. I came so far and I'm proud of myself. I think I said that like 3 or 4 times in the other podcast, which is a little wild, but I am. And I'm feeling like I just got so many good people in my life. They say you have to be intentional about the people that you put in your life, and I think it's true because you become more like the people that are in your life. Like if you hang out with 5 people who gossip, you're going to be the sixth. Same thing for if you hang out with 5 people that are kind, you're going to be kind. Like they make you who you are, and that is, how could you not be intentional when that's the case? That's like what it's all about. People ask me, and I'm people. They say, "Wes, this life thing, man. What's it all about?" And I'll tell you what it's all about. Now now I forget. That's the podcaster who cannot remember anything, who constantly loses track of his train of thought. The train just be leaving a station, and I'd be like forgetting what train I was on. Oh, living with intent. See, 2 things though. If something like that happens, don't get angry because if you don't remember, it clearly wasn't that important. But living with intention, like that's what it's all about. That's how I'd answer that question. It's living with intention. And because I'll tell you, I tried to live for a very long time without intention. It was not going well. It was not going well at all. I don't want to just keep talking about like I had a period where I was depressed, but it's like it made me who I am. And I think that's kind of what this like I want this podcast to help people who are going through similar things. And I think it's useful to talk about it. And I know I don't let me tell you something. If you were to ask me, "Hey Wes, what's something you hate?" I'd say, "Man, I don't hate nothing." But something I really don't like is stigma. And I don't think I don't like how men aren't allowed to talk about the shit they go through. Fuck at that. It's not because, like, men go through shit. I promise you. And it is, like I was saying on the last episode, dude, like, when you keep it all in, that's when shit gets funky. Like, when there's moisture and you keep it in, shit gets moldy. And for, and I got moldy. I'm working on it. I'm working on letting it out, airing myself out, airing my shit out. But I got moldy. And being moldy, I'll tell you, it's not a lot of fun. And I don't know if this is where I should go next, but this is where I want to go, so it's where I will go. Like, I think a lot of problems that show up on like a physical level, whether that's like back pain or stomach problems, like those are totally random. By the way, there's no way I've been having chronic neck and back pain for 3 years at the age of 22. And I don't got stomach problems. My stomach's fantastic. I don't. So don't be thinking I'm bringing my own. Like, these are random examples, and I think you're looking a little too much into it, and it's a little concerning. I'm worried about you. But I think, like, it's a little woo woo. But let me tell you something. Maybe being woo woo is a little cuckoo, as in cool. Because I think some of it is true. There. I said it. Lock me up. I'm a very bad man. I think things like that, like, I think all problems start in the mind, and if the mind is good, you're gonna be healthy. Like, the mind, you gotta take care of your mind. You gotta live with intention. Me and you, same stuff. There's definitely gonna be a lot of inside jokes on this podcast, and I don't think anyone's gonna care enough to get them. Maybe they will. I hope they do. I pray they do. But I just got a lot of great people in my life. I'm still debating if I should like name them. Well, let's look at the pros and the cons. That's how you make decisions, people. And one thing I heard is don't worry about like making the wrong decision. Don't make don't worry about making right decisions, make the decision right. And what that means is you usually like the important thing is making a decision and moving forward. And it's never too late to say sorry or make things right. And that is easier said than done, like many things in life. But these little sayings like that, and choose your hard, like those help me a lot. Because I don't know. And I don't have to know. That's another thing I'm working on. I, all I do is try to understand life. And honestly, it works. I understand. I feel like I'm really getting a grip on this whole life thing. Which feels amazing because when you feel like you don't have a grip on life, it's not great. It's scary. Every day is very scary. But I feel like I'm getting a grip. And don't let that boy get a grip. Some people call me the kid. By people I mean me. And do not let the kid get a grip. Do not let the kid get hot. Because once I have a little momentum, you are cooked. Lights over, curtains. Game over, no more game. And I truly believe that. It's like, in a non-cocky way, it's like I'm Michael Jordan. If you give me anything, you're fucked. And you're lucky that I use my power and my greatness for love and not hate. I know this is the cockiness I was talking about. I can be a little cocky. And I don't think it's a good or a bad thing. It has some pros and it has some cons. And there's been people in my life where it's like, I know, I'm aware. I'm aware this person is affecting my life negatively. And I keep them in it. And I do it because I think I'm being nice, but I'm not. And I'll tell you why. I know you didn't ask why, but I'm going to tell you why. And it's because you're not being nice. You're being weak. That's right. I'm like in the mental health game. I'm currently getting my master's in social work, and I want to be a mental health therapist. And I think something that's missing from the mental health game is like not always keeping it real. Like if I told, if my client came to me was like, I can't cut this person off. Like I want to, but I can't. And I'm like, you're being weak. You got nothing. You're weak. I don't think that would go like that's not how they operate in the field. But I can say it to myself. Um, I'm being weak and I know it. And it's not being it's legitimately like I promise you it's not nice because here's why. It's not nice because me and you same stuff. No, I'm done joking around. I'll tell you. All right. Here we go. I'll tell you why it's not nice. There's a part of me that wants to keep this joke going, but this is number one, it's a mental health podcast. Number two, it'll be a comedy podcast. But here we go. All right. What's up? What are we talking about? Nah. All right. Here's why it's not the nice thing to do. And it is the weak thing to do. It's because like if someone has a problem that's so bad that you don't want them in your life anymore, like that's probably something they should fix. And you keeping them in your life is you're you're like you're preventing them from making the change they need to change because they might change if you cut them off. They might be like, "Damn." Like cutting someone off is like it's a serious thing. And no, it's not something you should take lightly. And if someone cut me off, I would 100% look in the mirror and be like, "Do I have a problem?" And just because you cut someone off, there's a video of Young Thug, rapper, who's done some questionable things. Don't get me wrong, but he has a video. He's like, just because you lost me as a friend doesn't mean you gained me as an enemy. And that is wise. And that's how I operate. Just because I cut you off doesn't mean I don't want you to win. I love you. There's no one I hate. I used to hate everyone. Now there's no one I hate. I genuinely love everyone and I want everyone to win. And I think we can all win. And I think us as humans, we're all on the same team. And we're playing the other animals. And let me tell you something, we are kicking the shit out of the other animals. Humans are so far above any other animal, it's disgusting. It's a little gross. And frankly, it makes me want to throw up. Because humans, like, we're running this bitch. It's not even close. I mean, it depends on what you're judging by. Like, if you're judging by power, that's what I think I'm judging by. Like, we are domesticating other animals and keeping them as pets. That's how far in the lead we are. We are playing with the competition. We're so not worried about them taking over that we let them live in our homes. And what makes humans see this podcast is going to be I'm not labeling it and I'm not labeling it cuz I don't want to feel limited. I'm going to talk about whatever I want to talk about. And if people don't want to listen, they don't got to listen. You see me, I'm a stoic. I focus on the things I can control. What I control is I can talk about whatever the HE hockey sticks I want. And that's a cool thing about life. You can do whatever you want. And if you got some bad shit in your life, if you got a bad life, it's your responsibility to change it. And I said that because I don't, dude. If I keep losing my train of thought, like I don't know. If I don't remember, I guess it's not that important. You know what I mean? Type shit. But ooh, all right. I gotta slow down. All right, here we go. I don't remember what I was talking about. I was talking about. See, hopefully, hopefully this podcast blows the fuck up, and I can get one of those guys like, or I'm like, hey, Jamie, look that up, or hey, Jamie, what was I just talking about? I needed Jamie. I think that's what Joe Rogan's guy is named. And I will hire someone and I will force them to change their name to Jamie because I think it's a fitting. Like if I wanted my kid to grow up and be like a clip guy, I'd name him Jamie. And I remember something I was talking about earlier. It was I got some oh yeah, cutting people off. That's what I was talking about because I got some good people in my life. And you got to be intentional with like who you keep in your life. Like, there's some people where it's like I want to be more like you. And the way to do that is to spend more time with them because you can observe how they operate. And I'm kind of a little I'm weird. And I think weird is a good thing. And the thing about me is like I am always I'm always thinking, I'm always on. And uh, one of the benefits of that is like I learn a lot. I'm always learning because I'm always observing because I'm always thinking. And that makes I'm always getting better. And that's why I'm him, bro. But like if you are around people like what I was talking about before, like if you hang out with six smokers, you're gonna be the seventh. If you hang out with 439 people that beat up children, you are going to be the 440th. Maybe. Maybe you just have like more common sense. Maybe you're just like a fantastic person. But maybe you're not. I think I'm very susceptible. I use like big words like that all the time, just so you know, like saying that is not a big deal for me. But I'm susceptible. I'm susceptible to bad influences. Other people influence me a lot. Peer pressure, I'm like I've never resisted it. My parents were so good about like don't do this, don't do that. They were telling me all the right things. The second I was offered any of those things, I was like, let's ride. And it's because I'm too dang curious. I can't just like not know. And I think that's why I tend to learn things the hard way, which has its pros and its cons. And one of the pros, I tend to focus on the pros because I like being happy. That's a weird thing about me. Um, I lost my train of thought. Here we go. um, this might like ruin the podcast, but maybe I don't know. I'm doing this for fun, and I'm loving it. People in my life cut them off, and oh yeah, the reason that's what I was really talking about. The reason why it's not nice to like keep someone, I think I already talked about it actually. The reason it's not nice, it's not the nice thing to do to not cut someone off. Like you're not being nice, you're being weak, and it's because you're preventing them from changing. You're preventing them from growing and like addressing the problem. It's like if someone wants to quit smoking and you keep buying them cigarettes, like you're not helping that person. You might like you're you could be looked at in a way. Like it's all about perspective, but I like my perspective. I think like I'm I love the perspective I'm cooking right now. Like that I'm not that like specifically right now, but like I'm working towards. And a lot of it is like perspective. Everything depends on like how you look at it. Like I don't think I've said this probably 400 times, and I apologize if it's getting annoying, but I don't think things are good or bad. I don't think life itself is inherently good. And that's a little scary. I was scared of that for a long time. And the reason that's scary is because, like, life could be awful. Life has, like, we've gotten in world wars, and the shit has gotten sketchy, but we've always made it through. And that's what I choose to focus on. And I genuinely believe if I chose to focus on the bad stuff, and that's what a lot of people do, that's what I did for a long time, and I'm done. It's no fun. Because if you're always looking for what's wrong, like you're gonna find something. And if you're always like appreciating things and you're always looking for what's right, and that's the beauty. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. If you're always looking for what's right, if you're always looking for things you're grateful for, like that's what you're going to spend your time thinking about. And it is like more than proven that gratitude and like focusing on the good side. Like I'm not saying be delirious about it. Like if you're sick, don't be like, I feel fantastic. That's not like having a positive attitude. That's lying. You got honesty is probably just as important as what I'm talking about right now. Like if you were to ask me, hey Wes, what's it all about? I certainly honesty would be up there. And I think one thing I'd love to talk about is the difference between like ego and like real solid confidence. Ego, which is, I think, can be harmful. Ego, most of the time, is harmful. Ego is like, look at this car I drive, look at my house, look at like, it's external. It's things you're pointing to in like the material world. That's like, I'm blank because this. But you know what? Like, you can have a nice car and be terribly unhappy. It happens often. They say a lot of the richest people in the world are like miserable. Money does not make you happy, folks. And everybody has heard that expression. I think most people know it's true, but they live their whole life like it's not. They work jobs they don't like so they can have a lot of money. And they're miserable. And it's like, buddy, look in the fucking mirror. Look at your life. Look at what you're doing. That's the problem. If you were had a job you loved, that'd make you a lot happier than that big house. And I think this money is something where you need a certain amount to get by, and that's it. Once you have more than that, sure, like things don't make you happy. Everyone knows that, but they live their whole entire lives like it's not true. Fight Club, great movie. Um, I didn't just say that name because for no reason. I'm going somewhere. Fight Club, there's a quote in there where it says, people work jobs they don't like to buy things they don't need to impress people they don't even like. And it's like, that's on you. I hate to say it, but that's on you. You're weak. I'm kidding. But it is your responsibility to change that. And it's not fun. Change is always uncomfortable. And that's why, if you were to ask me, hey, Wes, this whole life thing, what's it all about? I didn't forget. I. Oh, I didn't forget. I'd say, hey, man, it's about getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And no one has ever said that before. I made it up and I deserve the credit. But it's so true. And you hear all these things and you're like, damn, that's true. And then you live your whole life like it's not. That's the thing. You gotta live, you gotta the things you know are true, use those. Don't just ignore them and keep doing the shit that you always have done if you're not happy. If you're doing great, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's broke, fix it. And the way you do that is by using what you know is true. Living with intention. Life is dangerous. There are things in life that are dangerous, like substances, like alcohol, drugs, like you could die every time you get in the car. But if you just gotta be smart about things. And the way you do that is think. Think about why you do things and make sure like live accordingly. Be cognizant of the things you know. I use words like that all the time and it's really not a big deal. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the truth. But I want to get back to this whole ego versus real confidence. Real confidence stems from accepting who you are. And so much peace comes for that. Brother, I'm working on it. I'm getting better. Because I'm him. I'm getting better at it. And it feels good. I can't tell you how much peace you will find in being yourself. And that's another thing where it's yeah, that's true. Being yourself is so important. And then you live your whole life like it's not true. And maybe this doesn't apply to you, but maybe it does. I feel like if it doesn't apply to you, you might not be listening. And if you are listening, why do you think you're listening? Huh? Why do you think you're listening to this? It's because you think you care about what I have to say. And I tell you, that means a lot to me. And why do you care about what I have to say? It's because do you need some help? And I don't like saying that because it's help almost has a negative connotation, but help is the best thing in the world. Help is love. And I'm making this podcast because I love you and I want what's best for you and I want to help you. And I operated for a long time where it's I felt like I had to do it alone, and it's fucking not true. Into the Wild, a popular book and movie, he reminds me of myself in some ways, even though everyone kind of reminds me of myself. But I see a part of me in him because for a while, especially when I was getting a business degree, it's just I was doing that because I was good at it, not because I loved it. And I fantasized about getting in a van, going into Alaska, and trying to live in the wild, which is exactly what he did. And the conclusion, his life's work, was the following line. I think he wrote it, and people found it. Happiness is not real unless shared. And that's fucking sad is what that is. Because he died. And he died alone. Implying that he was not happy. But I'll tell you something. I'm not going to let his death be in vain. Accept help. People help you because they love you, because they want you to win and they want you to succeed. That is a good thing. It doesn't mean you're weak. Not cutting people off, that's weak. But accepting help, it's brave to accept help. You got to be vulnerable. You have to be very strong to reach out to someone and be like, hey, I'm not doing good. I need some help. And hopefully you got some good people in your life that you can reach out to. And if you don't, motherfucker, reach out to me and I'll try to help you. Because helping people is what I try to make the focus of my life. And I was talking about this in the last one. It's because helping people makes me feel good. It's not like I'm some saint. I'm doing this for selfish reasons. I don't really give a fuck about you at all. That's not true. I genuinely love you. I love everyone. But a part of why helping people, I try to make that the focus of my life, is because you feel good when you help people. It's one of the safest bets in the world, is if you help someone, you will feel better about yourself. And they benefit. It's a win-win, ladies and gentlemen. It might even be a win-win-win. Everybody fucking wins. It's a win-win-win-win-win up to how many people on Earth there are. It could be. I don't know if that really makes sense, but it's like, if everyone operated like that, we would all win. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are losing. But to get back to this ego versus real confidence thing, it takes a lot of strength, and it takes a lot of bravery, and it takes a lot of courage to say, hey, I'm not doing well. I need some help. And it also just takes strength, it takes bravery, it takes courage to accept help, even if you don't have to ask. Like, there were so many times where it's like when I wasn't doing good, people would reach out and like try to help me, and I'd be like, nah, I feel like I have to. I wouldn't say that. I'd be like, nah, I'm good. I'm chilling. And when I was not chilling, I was the opposite of chilling. I was struggling. I was struggling. And this might be a tangent, but this is my fucking podcast. Like, rappers like 21 Savage, if you're listening to this, please don't kill me. 21 Savage is probably listening to this, so yo, Savage, like, for real, dude, do not kill me. But you're weak. And I'll tell you why. You think you're cool with all your guns and being a player? You kinda are. I won't lie to you, but you're being weak. And I read about you. One thing funny is how I read about you is that you brought a gun to a lunchbox into school in a lunchbox, and that is wild, man. And I don't know if I can say anything about you because that one thing I know about you tells me that our lives are so different. But at the end of the day, you're a human, and I'm a human, and you're weak. You hear that, Savage? You're weak because I read, and not I take it back, Savage, dude. I love you, man. Savage, man. You're not weak, but you're doing something that is weak. I read about you, and this is like every rapper's story. It's like one girl broke their heart, and now they're just like, all right, no bitch is ever breaking my heart ever again. I'm gonna act like I don't have feelings. And Savage, I know. I know you have feelings because you are a human. and I am a human. And I think all humans have feelings. That was Christian Fitzgerald. If you're listening, I love you. I genuinely love you. You're one of the people I'm talking about where it's like, I want to be more like this guy. And it's because you are the most genuine person I've ever met in my entire life. You might be the kindest person I've ever met in my entire life. And I forgot what I bring. Why was I telling 21 Savage that he was weak? Oh, Savage, man. If you're. I know you're still listening. I know you too well. I know you like the back of my hand, Savage. So don't even play with me, bro. You got your heart broken and you said, I'm going to take my ball and go home. You gave up on love. You got hurt and you said, I can't get hurt ever again. And Savage, I gotta tell you something, man. I think part of the reason I hate that so much, giving up, is because I gave up. I gave up. When things got real hard for me, there was a while where it was just like, I stopped trying to live and I was just trying to survive. And I don't blame myself because what I went through was incredibly hard on me and I was doing the best I could. That's one of my mantras. Everyone is doing the best they can. And that is all you can do. And that's why I don't hate anyone. I think and oftentimes, I think almost 100% of the time, if someone like sucks, where it's like, everyone meets people and you're like, that person sucks. They really push my buttons. And oftentimes, Christian said this, no one will ever hate them as much as they hate themselves. When people are miserable and people have like terrible personalities, it's because they're going through some shit. And Savage, man. I know you've been through some shit, but I don't want you to give up on love because I think that is a recipe for disaster. Because I did it and it did not go well. Turn on. Turn on. Are you listening? Turn on God. I don't even think Savage says Megan Thee Stallion says And I think at the end of the day, this is going to be a mental health podcast. I don't want to put myself in no box, but it's important to remember why you're doing things. And this podcast is to help people. This podcast is to help you. And I'm not saying you need help, but I'm saying I think everyone needs help. I think everyone needs help, and I think it takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of strength, and because no one likes being vulnerable, and I'll tell you why. It's because when you're vulnerable, there's a chance you get hurt. And that's what the ego is so scared of, getting hurt. And I don't think I need to explain to you that that's like, it makes sense. Nobody likes getting hurt. It sucks. But that doesn't mean you should just give up on some of the better parts of life, like love. They say when you go through a heartbreak, you have a unique opportunity because when your heart breaks, you have a unique opportunity for like accelerated growth and you can like change your whole life. Your heart broke. Your heart is, I like to think about it like your heart cracked. And yeah, when your heart cracks, it hurts. But I'll tell you something, it's open. it's open. And when your heart is open, it's open to change. And that is why you have a unique opportunity about for some like accelerated growth. You could change your whole life. And you could change it for better, and you could change it for worse. It's your choice. Some people let a heartbreak ruin their whole life. They give up. And giving up is not the only way to let a heartbreak ruin your whole life. Well, kind of. It's the big one. But you're going to get through this. Actually, I take that back. I don't know that. What I do know is you can get through this if you want to. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Certainly not saying it's going to be fun. But if you would like to, you could get through this. That's another thing I like to remember. It's kind of the sentiment. I just speak in corny quotes. But it's you've made it through 100% of your bad days. And humanity, we've had some rough moments. I don't think I need to remind you of any. You know the big ones. But let me tell you something. We made it through every single one of them, and we're still kicking. I can't fully explain, I can't fully understand what makes humans so resilient. And resilient, for you idiots who don't know, it means I after all that I can't even explain it. The essence of resilience, my understanding of resilience is the ability to bounce back. The ability to go through bad things and bounce back. That song is an overplayed song by Big Sean, but that message is so true, and that song is so good. Things only get overplayed because they're that good. And Sean, you did your thing on that song. Savage, you're weak. Savage, I know your dirty ass still listening. I'm over here like laughing at my own jokes. Yeah, I think I'm funny and I'm weird. And I'm okay with that. Because you know what the opposite of weird is? Boring. And I'd rather be anything than boring. Boring sucks. And I don't even really want to dive into why people are boring. Probably not doing what they love. I don't even need to dive in. Shit's just easy for me. But you can't give up. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of like a radical belief. But I genuinely don't know if anything is inherently good or bad. And it's helped me a lot. That's why I've said it probably 19 times in 2 podcasts. Like heartbreak. Most people would say that's a bad thing. One of the worst things that can happen to you. Oh, you got your heart broken? I'm so sorry. You know what? I'm not. Savage, you hear me? I'm not. And you know why? Because you're weak. No, you're not weak, Savage, dude. I love you. I am sorry. Well, I don't know. I don't wish. I'm not happy that you're in pain. but you have a unique opportunity if you get your heart broken. And that's the way I choose to look at things. I think I figured out life. Shit is kind of easy now. I think I'm gonna go back to the night for the ninth time to this ego versus confidence thing, but like when you're confidence is like confident people will like tell you when they're insecure. And most people are too insecure to even say that. They're too ashamed, they're too scared of like looking weak. And like it takes a lot of courage to like share things that scare you and like your vulnerabilities, the things that like you don't like about yourself. But it helps. And it helps a lot. And I think just so much like everyone wants to be confident, and the way you do it is by telling the truth. I in my life I tell a lot of like white lies to just cuz to save people from like my explanations. Cuz I'm a weird guy. Like sometimes, and I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but I think it is better to just like tell the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for anything. Like if you're doing something weird, a lot of people would be like don't want people to think they're weird, so they lie. Like if you're doing some freaky shit and someone's like, "Hey, what you doing?" Yeah, "Hey, I'm chilling. I was sleeping." We know your little dirty ass wasn't sleeping. But you lie because you're scared. You lie because you're weak. You don't lie because you're weak. You lie out of weakness. Oftentimes. And yeah, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. But like I said, I think it's better to tell the truth. Because when you tell your truth, you don't gotta pretend. And like lie, you shouldn't lie, especially to like your friends and family. This is a thing I did for a long time. It's like if someone asked me to hang out and I want to hang out, I don't know about most, I think a lot of people do this. But like if someone asked me to hang out and I didn't want to hang out, I'd be like, I got too much homework. When I didn't have any homework. I just don't want to hang out. And I'm scared that if I tell people that, they'll be like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. In my mind, that's what I'm worried about. And it's so irrational, and I know it. And that's why I'm talking about it, because it helps. I don't think I did cut someone off in middle school or elementary school because they said they didn't want to hang out. And I was a real dumb kid. I said, I don't want to be friends with the kind of person that doesn't want to hang out with me. And it's because, like, it's not that they don't want to hang out with me ever. It's they don't want to hang out with you right now. And those are two extremely different things. You're gonna, I literally cut someone off because they weren't in the mood to hang out with me. And that's where you get in trouble using like extremes like that, like rules. Rules are bad. You gotta, like, you can't use one piece of information to like make a decision. That's like, should I eat should I eat a million cheeseburgers? And the one if I used one piece of information, cheeseburgers are delicious. Then I could confidently say, yes, I should eat a million cheeseburgers. But I think if I were to eat a million cheeseburgers, it wouldn't be what's best for me. And it's because I didn't use all of the information at my disposal. I'm someone who has struggled with indecisiveness, and now I just look at the pros and the cons. I feel like a broken record, and I think that's a fair judgment. But it's like I say this stuff and I'm talking about this stuff because it helps me. And I was talking a little bit about getting into trouble using extremes, and the opposite of that is balance and moderation and variety, and in this case, using all the information you have. You gotta make a decision. If anyone watches How I Met Your Mother, Ted Mosby, the main character, is notorious for taking out a yellow legal pad and making a list of the pros and cons when he has to make a decision. And I see myself in Ted Mosby. For a while, I wanted to be Ted Mosby. I was almost an architect because of how much I liked Ted Mosby. He went to Wesleyan, and for a while, I was like, I'm going to go to Wesleyan and be an architect so I can just be the real life Ted Mosby. But I stopped going on that route because I looked at the pros and the cons. And a big con is I don't want to be Ted Mosby. I like Ted Mosby, but I don't want to be him. It took me a long, long time to get to where I'm at, but I don't want to be anyone else. I love being me. It took me an extremely long amount of time and the maximum amount of effort to get to that point, but I don't want to be anyone else. And you know why? Because like I'm me. I have my own, I'm unique. I have like there's reasons why I like the things I like. And I don't want to live my entire life trying to get the things that you like. You know why? Because I don't like all the things you like, and that's okay. And that's why you gotta use, like, decisions are scary, for me at least. And they're scary because I don't want to make the wrong decision. I'm terrified of making the wrong decision. I'm terrified of making a mistake. But guess what, 21 Savage? Mistakes are how you learn. Mistakes are genuine, like that's what I'm saying about this whole no good or bad thing. Everyone thinks of mistakes. People demonize the hell out of mistakes. But that is how you learn. And in my experience, it's never too late to make something right if you want to make it right. It can be complicated if it's like you really messed up. But the only way to lose, in this case, winning would be making things right, and losing would be failing to do so. It's another thing, sounds corny. Maybe I'm just a corny guy, and maybe that's okay. But I didn't lose my train of thought. Give me a second. It's just getting ridiculous. Um, maybe, maybe this is what was supposed to happen. I was talking a big game earlier about if I don't remember, clearly it wasn't that important. And maybe I gotta live. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you gotta live. You can't just, like, talk about things and not do them. You gotta do what you know is good for you. Living with intention. Hey, 21 Savage. I know I was a little hard on you earlier, but you're not weak. You did a weak thing. You still might be doing a weak thing. And I don't know why I'm picking on you. I do because it's funny. And I know that you might not be listening to this podcast. You probably stopped listening when I called you weak because you're weak. But if you were, I tell you, I really like your music. And I tell you, I'm proud of you for doing what you love. You're making music. It's not easy to make music. It takes a lot of strength to make music because you're putting yourself out there. And there are people that don't like your music. And you have to be okay with that. And I know it's been a while since we talked, Savage, but you seem like you're doing good. I know you had that whole scandal with people finding out you're from Britain, but it's certainly a lot better than what people are finding out about Drake. And I won't get into the Drake nonsense. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. There's so many things I want to talk about, and that's why I started a podcast. And one of them, oh my God, I remembered what I was talking about. Now I forget it. No, I'm kidding. I don't want to be Ted Mosby. I don't think you should want to be like idols. It's like, I don't believe that that's really a good thing. You shouldn't worship any one person more than people in general. Could be, you know why? Because everyone has flaws. I don't even, I don't know if I believe in the word flaws, but everyone has like problems. Everyone has made mistakes. It's like, I'll be honest, Kanye West is my favorite musician of all time, and it's not even close. Frank Ocean is up there, but just blonde. The rest of him, I'll be honest, I don't like that much. And Savage, you've had your hits. You're not actually up there for me, and that's okay. I think you're probably okay with that. And I'm scared it will make you not like me. But I know you little weak ass stopped listening 15 minutes ago, so I don't even care. But um see maybe the jokes are the reason I keep getting distracted. If you're listening, tell me if you like the jokes. Maybe I'll put up a poll. Joke or no joke? Jokes are just, you know why I love jokes so much? I said this in the first episode, and it's so like sad that I'm this deep, but you can't frown when you're laughing. When I'm laughing with my friends, that is when I am happiest. When I'm joking around, that is when I am happiest. And that really says a lot. And what it says is that, like, I think in the past, I've gotten caught up with taking life too seriously. And one of the ways that I have gotten through all the shit I've been through is joking about it. I think there's a time and a place, and there's no single rule for what jokes are good and what jokes are bad. You just got to use your judgment. Use like every situation is different. But like when bad things happen, I'm the one making jokes and people laugh. And it's because it's the best way I've ever found to get through things. Because after like something happens, say you didn't love the results of, I don't want to say that. Say someone, that's an extreme case. Say you got fired. I think this is a decent example. And if it's not, I can always change it later. Say you got fired. I will be the one where it's like tomorrow morning, you'll be like, and you're sitting at home, and I'll be like, you're not going to work? Knowing darn well that you got fired. And I hope you laugh. And I hope you laugh because the reason I'm trying to make you laugh is because I want you to smile. Because every time you get done laughing about something that's messed up, I instantly just every single time I'm like, I'm gonna be alright. I'm gonna be okay. And I don't really know why that happens, but I know that it happens. And I don't really need to know why. But when you can joke about things, when you can joke about yourself, your flaws, like people love Pete Davidson. And all he does is self-deprecate. He makes fun of himself and it makes him wildly likable. He is rich and famous because of his ability to make self-deprecating jokes. And people love him for it. I love him for it. His movie King of Staten Island is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I see myself a lot in Pete Davidson because he's kind of like, he's in the mental health world. I hope he's doing good. I went to his stand-up show and he said one of the funnier jokes I've ever heard in my life. And he said it within the first 2 minutes of starting. He's like, I'm off drugs. And everyone was cheering. They're like, yeah, go Pete. He says, don't worry, I'll be back. And I still think about that. It was like his problems with addiction. I believe, maybe I'm wrong, Pete. You're probably listening too. But maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like that's the biggest problem in your life. I know your dad died too, and I'm sorry about that. But I think it it's my perception that your struggles with addiction are one of the bigger problems in your life, and you're able to joke about it. And like I said before, every time I finish laughing, the following thought is, I'm gonna be okay. It's like those Drake memes where it's like Drake the type of guy. Drake the type of guy to be like out with friends and be like, oh, I needed this. I don't even know why I brought that up. I love those memes. And yeah, a lot of jokes aren't like nice. I make a lot of jokes that don't seem nice, but it's because I want you to laugh, because I want you to smile, and I want you to know that everything's gonna be okay. When you're dealing with something, when I'm dealing with something, it often feels like the world is going to end. When I literally, this is something that I've struggled with. I got into like a debatably like a panic attack. I don't really know the definition of a panic attack, and frankly, I don't really care. But I was pretty much having a panic attack because I had made myself so anxious over the fact that I couldn't come up with the perfect workout routine. Because I was skiing on the weekends and that was messing up my whole thing. And you know what that is? That is taking life too seriously. And you know what gets me out of that? Laughing and jokes. And I want to be myself on this podcast. I want to be myself in every area of my life. And I don't think I would be being myself if I wasn't making jokes. Jokes are who I am. I probably make, if I'm talking to people, I'm making jokes. I'm always making jokes. I love making jokes. I don't think there's anything I love more than making people laugh. What makes I think you should ask yourself, 21 Savage and Pete Davidson, what do you love most in the world? Because I clearly am a big reflector. I am a thinker. Asking questions, and there are benefits to that. And one of them is I understand myself very well. I don't understand myself completely, and I never will, and that frustrates me a bit. But I'm starting to accept it. I don't think I need to understand myself completely. And maybe I will. I don't think you can understand life completely because it is wildly complicated. It took me years to feel like I have a grip on this thing called life. And I was texting my friend this the other day. I feel like life is like God giving you a piece of paper and a pen. And if you're not religious, I don't got to bring him into this. It's like you get, maybe he didn't give it to you. Maybe, I don't know for sure if he's real. I think he is. And I don't even think it's a guy, but that's just how I that's how I talk about him. And I don't even think it's a person. I think it's more of like an energy. If you were to ask me, hey Wes, how do you think about God? I would say I think about it like an energy. Taoism is the closest thing I have to a belief system. Um, and the best way I can explain it is like it's the Force in Star Wars. It's inside everyone. It's inside all living things. And it doesn't it doesn't it doesn't come find you. You need to find it. And you also never be able to explain it. God, like God's an idea in my mind, and I hope you don't hate me. I hope you still want to be my friend if we don't think about it the same way. But life is like you get a piece of paper and a pen, and you're looking around and you're like, what? What am I supposed to like write an essay? Am I supposed to draw something? And you hear crickets. You hear this. You hear this. And me personally, I've spent years of my life looking around being like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this piece of paper? And you hear this. And now it has taken me 20 years to accept that I don't think anyone is going to tell me what to do with my piece of paper. And I don't think that's a bad thing anymore. You know why? Because you can do whatever you want. You can draw a beautiful picture. You can draw an ugly picture if that's your cup of tea. You can write an essay. And I think what you should do with your piece of paper is whatever the hell you want. Be yourself. Do what you want to do. And I think the reason we want to know what we're supposed to do with our piece of paper is because we're afraid that it's going to be graded, that we're being like judged. And maybe we are. But maybe we're not. Maybe life is just you get a piece of paper and you can do whatever the hell you want with it. And you could be like, that sucks. What's the point? And I did that for a long time. Wouldn't recommend, but feel free to do that. Continue to do that. What's the point? This is like meaningless. Or you can be like, I can do whatever I want. Another corny saying, but life is what you make it. And you getting mad about someone like not telling you what to do with your piece of paper, like you're getting mad that you have freedom. You're getting mad that you have free will. And that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I think the reason we want to, I said this before, but it's like we want to know what we're supposed to do with our piece of paper because we're afraid of that we're being judged. And that's real scary. We don't know, and that's because we have no idea. Most people, I feel, seem like, if you really think about life, like, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what happens when I die. I would argue that you don't either. I have no clue. And that is probably just about the scariest thing in the world to me. I have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen. And that terrifies me. But I can't control that. As much as I'd like to, as much as I'd like to know, it would give me an insane amount of peace of mind, I think. But you know what else will give me peace of mind? Accepting that I'll never know. And if by some, say Jesus comes back again and it's like, yo, I'm him, then I won't be any worse off for accepting that I might never know until it happens. But I'm going to choose to focus on what I can control, which is this life. And I got a piece of paper. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it, but I'm starting to feel like I'm not supposed to do anything with it. I can just do whatever the hell I want. And what I want is to be happy. And my current method for how to do that is to help other people. Because when I help other people, it makes me feel good. I'm selfish. That's why I'm doing it. If I'm being honest, that's why I'm doing it. I do love you. I do want to help you, but I want to help you because I want to be happy. And maybe that makes me a selfish person. But I gotta look out for me. And I also just would love to live in a world where everyone was happy and everyone helped other people and everyone had help. And all of those things would happen if everyone lived like that. I'm starting to move away from having rules in my life because the reason I was coming up with rules was to I was coming up with rules to try to control things, and I've learned over and over and over again that I am not in control. I can't control everything in life. There's many, many things I can't control. I took this picture. I took this picture from a screenshot of something I saw on Instagram. I don't think this is like trademark or anything. Things you can't control. What other people think of me. That one hits home for me. Another thing you can't control. how other people feel, or their motives, or what they say. So a lot of this comes down to you can't control other people. And it's, in my mind, that's a good thing. I wouldn't want to be able to control other people. I don't want to play God. I'm good with just controlling me. I like my character in this game. And controlling everyone would be a lot of work. And I don't really want that work. I'm a selfish person. For now. I'm working on whatever. Other things you can't control are the beliefs and perception of others. I don't really know what that means. The beliefs and perceptions of others. You can't control other people's beliefs. Okay. Another thing, just other people. External situations and what happened around us. That's also just pretty much mostly other people. So right now, you can't control other people, how they feel, anything about them. You can only control. And then you also can't control the past and the future. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to stop apologizing for being deep because one, it's who I am, and I can't control if you don't like it. And if you don't like it, the cool thing is you don't have to listen, and that probably means you're not listening. But something that is big for me, and it's big, I think it could be big for you, is the past and the future do not exist. And I mean that in the most literal sense. They do not exist. It has never been yesterday. It has never been tomorrow. The past and the future are ideas. They're ideas that we make feel incredibly real. But it has always been and it will always be right now. I genuinely believe that time does not exist. Time is an idea. We use time as a tool to understand our existence. But when you go, you're like, I'm going to have a great day tomorrow. When you wake up the next day, you're like, it's tomorrow. Well, yeah, some people do that, but you know it's not tomorrow. It's still today. And it's not even really today. It's right now. The present moment is the only thing that really exists. And it's also the only place where happiness exists. I've spent years, I'm not kidding, years in my head. I was existing in the real world, but I wasn't really here. I was in my head, worrying about the past and the future. And it did me. There are good things came from it, but I will tell you, it was so unfun. It was really hard. And that's not comfortable for me to say, but it was really fucking hard. I felt like I was trapped in my mind. And maybe you can relate. Maybe you can't. But we know that it will never actually become tomorrow. And yet we live our whole entire lives like that is not true. I'm not saying don't look out for future Wes, but I'll never be future Wes, and I need to be cognizant of that. I'm always just going to be Wes. And I'm not saying just like to put myself down. I don't think just was used correctly there. Because I love being Wes. But it took me a long time to get here. And I can't believe we made it this far. And I don't know who's listening right now. Like you, if anyone's listening right now, I don't know who you are, but I want to help you because I love you. Because I love everybody. And you could be like, yeah, Wes is saying that. He doesn't know who I am. And it might not be true, but it is true. You know why? Because I love everybody. I'm making this podcast because I love everybody and I want to help everybody. You are included in that. And I am someone who has learned my lessons the hard way. But I'll tell you, when you learn something the hard way, the lesson sticks. When you put your hand on the stove and you get burnt, you know not to put your hand on the damn stove anymore. And that's how I've learned a lot of my lessons. For better or for worse, I didn't have a lot of common sense. And I think it's because not always, for a long time, I was trapped in my head. And there are a variety of ways to get out. I think in general, there's no one right way to do anything. There's just things that will work, and you pick the one you want to do the most. And for me, excuse me, for me, I'd like to talk about how much meditation has helped me. I have been meditating every day for 20 minutes for over a year. And not a lot of people do that. And I'm pretty proud of that. Not because not a lot of other people do it. I'm proud of it because it takes commitment, it takes discipline. As I'm saying this is probably the first day where it's 10:20 p.m. right now, and I haven't meditated today. And I think I've missed less than 5 days in the past year. More than a year. And the reason why I meditate is because I didn't make this up. The purpose of meditation is it helps you stay in the present moment. And it helps you realize a lot of things. It helps you realize that you are not your thoughts. That's another expression. I'm not even going to call it yes, it's corny. Because it's overplayed. But things only get played out because they're that true. And you'll be like, yeah, that's true. I'm forgetting the expression. And I'm angry with myself that I keep forgetting things, but I think it'll be alright. Oh yeah, see, I remembered. Everything's gonna be okay. But the reason I meditate is a lot. I think it's one of the best things that you can do, along with journaling, exercise, probably eating well. But the reason I meditate is because it helps me realize that I'm not my thoughts. I am not my thoughts. And I heard that and I was like, that's so true. But I didn't really know what it meant. I was like, damn, that hits. When in reality, I didn't understand it. But I tell you something, I do now. I've spent years of my life being afraid of life. And that fear, when you've lived that way for so long, in some ways it feels like, not even it feels, yeah, I guess it feels like I'm I'm scared of, because I don't know who I would be without fear. And I know that doesn't make sense. And I'm angry at myself that a lot of my thoughts are irrational, and that's why I meditate. Because I look at those thoughts and I don't get wrapped up in them. I let them go. And I got in a lot of trouble in my life when I don't let things go. When I can't brush things off. When I get obsessed with trying to come up with the perfect workout routine. Like that matters. I mean, like, working out matters, but the perfect routine? Are you kidding me, Wes? That doesn't exist. Everything has pros and everything has cons. Look at your options and pick the one you want to do the most. And I got caught up trying to be perfect for a while. It's still something I'm working on. And yeah, my life got better when I started working on myself, but I'm always going to have problems. And I don't really believe in the word perfection. What's the definition? Perfection. Hold on. I don't have a clip guy yet, so I'm the clip guy. If anyone's listening and wants to be the clip guy, too bad 21 Savage. And too bad Pete Davidson. You're not going to be my clip guy, because I can do it myself. Yeah. The definition of perfection. I'm like weirdly deep, and I'm starting to love that about myself. I used to hate it because I try to have conversations. We'll be at a bar, and I'll be like, "Do you believe in love?" And I've been at tailgates, and I asked people I didn't even know if they believed in God. And that is taboo. And taboo meaning that's not something you're allowed to ask people. But I don't really believe in rules. And I don't follow rules that I don't like. The definition of perfection is the condition, state, or quality of being free or as free as possible from all flaws or defects. And yeah, as I was just saying, I don't really believe in flaws. Flaws implies that something is inherently negative, which I really don't agree with. Say I had a tooth gap. I paid multiple thousands of dollars of my, not a lot, not high thousands. I'm just gonna say it. I paid two. I paid $2,000 of my own money because I was so insecure about my tooth gap, the gap between my two front teeth. I've been at parties. I don't know why I want to make this a multiple time thing. I still remember I was at a party. It was a cookout. It was my friend's cookout. It was a fantastic cookout. And yeah. And this girl, I told her she didn't look like her Bitmoji. And she got furious. And she said, "Well, at least my teeth aren't." I don't remember what she said exactly, but I remember how I felt. And I knew she did it because she wanted to hurt me, and it worked. I didn't let her know that it worked. I brushed it off. I laughed. And no one knew how much it hurt me. But I don't still think about it a lot, but I certainly remember it. And I was very insecure about my tooth gap. So insecure that I paid $2,000 to get Invisalign. and get rid of it. And I don't really know how I feel about it completely. Paying 2,000. Oh, yeah, the reason I was talking about this is like, and then I also had people tell me they loved my tooth gap because it made me me. People were loving me because I was me. And I got rid of it to be like everyone else. And I didn't like the way it looked. But I think there's an element of choice in that. I chose to listen to the person who told me, they didn't tell me, but they made a joke trying to hurt me. They wanted to hurt me and they pointed that out. And I chose to let that be what I let that, I put so much value on that. And I completely ignored the people that told me that they love my gap. You see, and I got rid of it and I think it looks a lot better. And that's the thing. Like, life is complicated. And that's the thing. There's a Good Will Hunting. I don't think I need to explain that. Is a movie where, and there's a scene in it where it's like Robin Williams is talking to Will. I watched that movie and I didn't even know that, like, I watched it and I didn't know the character's names after. And his name is Will. And the movie is named Good Will Hunting because his name is Will. And I didn't put that together. See, I believe I'm a very smart individual, but for some reason I stink at putting things together that are right in front of me. But he's talking about, and I'm okay with that. And that's a flaw that I'm choosing to accept instead of obsessing over trying to fix it in this case. And that means I am learning. But Robin Williams, he says the things that make people weird, what we tend to call imperfections, or end up being the things we love the most about people. In this movie, he ends up like he says one of the favorite things about his late wife is that she would fart. And she would fart in her sleep. She'd fart in her sleep and she would wake up because it was that disruptive. And it's true. You love, when you love people, you love the things that make them them. And those are like the things that are unique. My tooth gap. And that's the thing where it's like, if I go on a date with a girl and she's ripping ass, that's not a pro for me. Maybe it could be. It's definitely funny. Farts are funny, and will always be funny as long as you don't take them too serious. Like, it smells bad for a little bit. And it's gross because I honestly think it's gross because everyone else thinks it's gross. But I'm done. I'm gonna be my own thinker. And I kind of love fart. Like, my friend farted this weekend and I laughed so hard. So are farts really a bad thing? I don't think so. I think they could be. But my tooth gap and Robin Williams' late wife farting in her sleep. You end up, when you love someone, you love the things that make them them. Even if those things are, by most people's standards, like flaws. I don't believe in flaws. Because I've spent a lot of time hating how my tooth gap looked. So much so, I spent $2,000 to get rid of it. And I don't really regret it. Because I hated how it looked. I thought it made me look dumb and stupid. And most people, they might have agreed. And that's why I got rid of it. And I love the way my smile looks now. And I think that's what matters. I didn't really. It's about what you think of yourself. Don't let what other people think, feel, or do not let other people control how you live your life. Or do. But in my experience, it made me unhappy. And you can't please everybody. I've tried. I tried for years. And I'm giving up. And I am so happy that I'm giving up. Because it is exhausting trying to be what everyone else wants you to be. When if you're just yourself, people will love you for you, and it's a win-win. I don't really know how I feel like I love what I'm saying right now. I'm proud of the things that I'm saying. I'm also like resisting the urge to make jokes. It's because I genuinely have something I'm so passionate about that I don't want to interrupt it. I want you to hear what I'm saying because I hope that it will help you. And I don't know, I've had like the urge, not the urge, but it's like I have the thought where it's like I could stop here. But it's like you don't stop shooting when you're hot. You don't leave the casino when the shots are falling, when the chips are, I don't know how to finish that expression. When you have momentum, you don't stop. And I think the power of momentum, I've mentioned it a couple of times, I believe. At least for me. Once I had momentum, it was over. I just needed a little push. I I believe like, and this is not an original, I didn't come up with this. I don't think I have coming up with anything. Maybe I can't. I invented cream cheese banana. And I'm not gonna give you the recipe, but it's my brother's been asking me for the recipe for years. It's like cream cheese. This is what I will tell you. It's like peanut butter banana. It's not that different. There's one switch I made. There's one switch I made that changed the game. And it's really good. I haven't eaten it in years, but if you really want the recipe, 21 Savage and Pete Davidson, reach out and I'll think about it. But I believe in life. I believe the way I've heard it is I think it's like as above, so below. And the way things that work inside are how they work outside. And so I hear the Newton's laws of physics. An object in motion remains in motion unless acted by on an outside force. I think that's true for people too, because I lived it, and you can tell me that you disagree, but that's one thing where you're not gonna change my mind because I lived it. I found out the power of hard work. I fell in love, and that led to me wanting to keep that love, and I found out the power of hard work, and I changed my whole entire life. And I can't believe that we made it this far. I didn't know if I was ever going to figure it out. I was terrified. But I did it anyway. I'm sure you're noticing as you listen to this that I'm using silence, is how I would put it. And I think silence has value. There's a part of me who still, to this day, is uncomfortable with silence. And that's okay. But because I want to grow, so now I use silence. I don't think I've said this, but it's another one of my irrational loops that I think, like, if someone says something to me and I don't say something back, I'm scared that they won't like me. And I know that's irrational. And I know it's not true. Because of that, like, I just say shit to say shit. And I fill a lot of air. And I think in life, I know in life that the more, it's just like, it's how it works, that the more of something there is, the less valuable it is. It's like supply and demand. And I have friends who are quiet. I would call them quiet. And I respect the hell out of them. And every quiet person I've ever met, when they say something, it matters. Like, you listen. And it's because when you talk less, your words matter more. And it creates a lot of anxiety for me having to say something back all the time. Because I'm like, I have to say something and I'm worried. And I'm worried about saying the wrong thing. And it is exhausting. And frankly, I'm done. I'm giving up. I'm walking away and I feel good about it. And I am in the process of obtaining my master's in social work degree, and my teachers have told me that you have to use silence because good things take time, and sometimes they need a little time and space to, like, marinate, if you will. And it is a pretty cocky thought to to think that I'm saying something so impactful that it needs a second. But that's what I believe, and I'm not going to pretend. I'm going to keep it a buck. I have a couple of friends who they keep it real. And that's not me letting it marinate. I was just thinking. But they do not really lie. And I respect the hell out of that. If I ask them if they want to hang out and they don't want to hang out, they will tell me that. A quote that comes to mind is, "I do not have any problem keeping it real." One of my best friends said that, and it's true. And him and another one. I don't really want to name names, even though they're compliments, because I don't know. I don't know if you want to be mentioned in my podcast. Like, I don't know if you want Pete Davidson and 21 Savage knowing all your business. So I am not going to I'm not going to say your name anymore. I know I've said some names. I started off my first podcast by saying I was in my friend's house. I said his name. And I hope that he will forgive me. And I have faith that he will. You know why? Because if people, like, I'm so worried about doing all the wrong things because of people not liking me. And, like, one, not everyone has to like me. And two, like, your friends are your friends because they like you. And they don't like you because you say something back when they say something to you. They like you for you, hopefully. And genuinely, I believe if they don't, it's because you're not being yourself. Like, I have a lot of people I hung out with years, and I had a mask on. I was not being myself. I was being what I thought they wanted me to be. I drove myself crazy because I don't know what you want me to be. And it's a whole lot easier being me. And I'm a whole lot happier being me. I hope you like me, but I can't control that. I can't control you. If you don't like me, like, that's okay. I feel better than I have in a very long time. And I know I keep saying that. And I'm not going to apologize because if you don't want to listen, you don't have to listen. You are in 100% in control of you. And I am in 100% control of me. And that's just the way it works. I think, like, maybe you stop listening and that's okay. Maybe you keep listening and I'm glad you're here. But I have driven myself nonsense, like worrying about, because I'll never know what you think unless you tell me. And that's the other thing. Like, if you make someone mad, they're probably gonna tell you. So you don't need to try to read minds. Because I can't read minds. 21 Savage and Pete Davidson, I know this is gonna be a big blow for you guys, but I can't read minds. And I hope you guys still mess with me. But I can't control if you do or not. I'm just going to be me and hope for the best. That's all I can do. There's a silence in this room right now that I appreciate. It's peaceful, it's serene. And it's because my mind hasn't been this quiet in an extremely long time. Maybe ever. And I think silence has a lot of value. sometimes silence can say more than words. I had a teacher where something really messed up happened, and he was black, and it um something happened to a black kid, and he was like, "Did your other teachers tell you about this? Because it happened locally." And we were like, "No." And because he didn't say anything, we just saw the look on his face. And he didn't say nothing. But we knew exactly how he felt. I think the look on his face, the disappointment we saw, we might not have picked up on that if he had said something. We probably wouldn't have. Because we really pay attention. That's the beauty of silence, I think. One of the beauties. I think, I know for me, I I do better when I'm like less stimulated. I know it's weird by most people's standards, but sometimes like I drive, I think older people do this a lot more than younger people. But like I'll drive with no music, no podcast, no nothing. I just drive. And it makes me feel a whole of a lot better. And I do that when things are too noisy in my mind. And it makes sense. It's like if you're always like listening to something or consuming something, like that shit is in your head. It doesn't like just go through you. It stays with you a bit. And when you have so much stuff in your head, it gets real messy. It's real hard to stay organized when there's too much stuff in your head. And that's why I was hanging out with my friends this weekend, and it was a fantastic weekend. It reminded me that I was taking life too serious, and I just need to like relax. I just need to have fun. If I focus on having fun, I will be good. that's not that's not inherently true, but fun is important is what I'll walk it back to. But our parents were right. It was always that damn phone. Because meditation is one way you can do this, but just like driving, and you're gonna think, at least me, I'm gonna think. And it helps me like actually think through things instead of just like having an emotion and like moving on to the next TikTok. With like you need to process things. I could not be more passionate. Like that's what I want to tell the world. Because I do a lot. I've read multiple books, read/listened to multiple books on emotional intelligence. And an aspect of that is accepting your emotions and not running away from them. I spent years running away from my fears, and it brought me nothing but tears. And I drank a lot of beers, anyone that was near. And then the next day I woke up and I went to Sears. No, I spent years, see that the joke distracted me, and now I have no idea what I was talking about. But I'm gonna think of it. I spent a lot of years running away from my emotions instead of just letting myself feel it. Like, and something not ideal happens to you, you feel sad. And I never let myself be sad. I was, I'm, I have been in the past very hard on myself. And I would not recommend it I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And I don't even have enemies. But I didn't let myself, and I was trying to protect myself. I was doing what I thought would help me, but it was quite the opposite. It hurt me. Very bad. That's the equivalent of 21 Savage getting his heart broken and saying, I am not doing that anymore. I was like, sad? I don't want to be sad. Why would I do that? But the thing is, if you don't let yourself be sad, the sadness stays. And if you do let yourself be sad, the sadness goes. And I spent, you might probably already know what I'm going to say. I spent years trying to think my way out of things. And I was trying to think my way out of things that I could not change. When all I needed to do was accept how I felt about them. And it's not fun. I don't personally like being sad. But I'd rather be sad for however long I need to be sad and move on than like having that sadness linger for years. And I'm gonna go where I want to go with this. That's what we should be learning in school. That's what I needed to hear and I never heard. And they will. Chance the Rapper has a line. Says they ain't teaching taxes in school. It doesn't even matter. I was acting a fool. And that could not be more accurate for the way I felt. Because if they were teaching this stuff in school, I wasn't listening. My parents probably did tell me this, and I didn't listen because in the past, have needed to learn things the hard way. So I don't know what the solution is, frankly. The good thing is no one's asking me. But I'm going to think about it. And I'll probably let you know what I think. And one of the reasons I wanted to have a podcast is, and I don't know how you can, if you can sense how therapeutic this is for me, but I feel amazing right now. I feel at peace. I feel like I have found peace. And Code of the Friend has a lyric I love. It's when everything you wanted, you get it. So, like, when you get everything you want, then all you want is peace. And that comes with a whole nother struggle, homie. Ain't nothing free. And not that I was getting, not that I've gotten everything I wanted. But all I want, the only thing I've wanted, at least the main thing I've wanted for years is peace. And I'm holding it in my hand right now. It feels that real. And I'm enjoying it. And talking through my problems, reflections, reflecting, that's what brings me peace. And I don't even know how long I've been talking. I just pressed record and I started yapping. But I've lost track of time. And I believe I said this before. Find out what makes you lose track of time. Because when you lose track of time, it's like you're so in the moment that you stop worrying. For my brother, I believe that's fishing. My brother likes fly fishing more than I think anyone else likes anything else. And I think it's because he's told me like he just loves how he feels when he's fishing. I know that fishing makes him lose track of time. And I like to fish. But fishing does not make me lose track of time. And that's okay. Because this does. And that's why I spend all of my time reflecting. And it feels like such a weird thing to love, but I love it. And I don't mind that I love it because it brings me peace. It makes sense. I love it because it brings me peace. And it makes life a lot more enjoyable. Like the whole reason people drink alcohol, the reason I drink alcohol is as a social lubricant. And that's because, and I'm not any better, I use it, but I drink it because it makes me not worry. But right now, I haven't had a lick of alcohol. In fact, I'm hungover. I drank yesterday, but I feel amazing. I feel at peace. And it's like I'm in my friend's basement. It's 10:30 at night and I'm talking to no one. And at least no one is listening right now. I hope people listen later. But I can't control that, and frankly, I do not care. Because I feel great, and I am aware of what makes me feel great, because I pay attention. I love that word, I probably ought to go to bed soon. And I hate the word should, and I'll tell you why. Should implies guilt. Should implies doing something you don't want to do. Most of the time, I think. It's like I should go to bed, but I don't. I'll tell you something, I don't want to. I want to keep talking forever. And it's clearly, excuse me, it's clearly not because I want people to listen, because no one is here right now. There's that like children book where it's like there was not a sound. You couldn't even hear like a needle drop or something like that. Or you could hear a needle drop. And that's the a level of silence I'm experiencing right now. And life is so much like easier when you can when you're not overwhelmed. And that's how I feel right now. And I want you to find the thing that makes you lose track of time. And I'm going to be honest, I hope I'm hoping this blows up and I could do this as a job full time. But even if it doesn't, I'm gonna keep doing it because I love it. I hope that happens, but that's not the reason I'm doing it. I'm doing it because it brings me peace. And I pray that it's a success because I think I have some things that people could benefit from hearing. And I would love to make this world a better place. And I think this is a way I could do that. But even if, I genuinely think, I hope that I keep doing this, even if, if 4 people listen, if 4 people, and I had my friend reach out, he's like, dude, I love what you were saying. And that meant the world to me. Because it validates what I'm hoping is true, that I have some knowledge that I can help people with. Genuinely, like you, whoever's listening right now, even if this is helping you, I'll keep doing it. And I'm not going to say because it brings me peace again, because I know you've heard that enough. But it's the truth. And at the same time, it is getting late. A girl just sent me a rose on Hinged. I don't like this. You think it's easy being him all the time? It is. Wow. That made me feel really good. And you know what else made me feel really good? When my friend told me that. It meant the world to me. And I've had other people. I had this Instagram account called Wes Reflects, and I stopped doing it because I was getting too caught up in trying to grow the account and make it something big. And I also didn't like how much effort it took to prepare a video. I had to rehearse, not really rehearse, but I had to write out what I was going to say, and I felt like I was performing. And I don't want to perform like this. I can just yap. I love yapping. And I think it could help people. And but yeah, so someone reached out to me. I used to work at a camp, and a camper was a really cool kid. He reached out and he was like, yo, there's actually 2 of them. They were like, yo, we really rock with what you're doing. Keep going. And I didn't. I stopped making videos in that account. And I didn't know if I was going to stop forever. I didn't know, but I knew, and that's the thing. I stumbled into this because I'm trying things out. And if you get caught up in what if it doesn't work? The Instagram account, it didn't work. I think it got over 100 followers. People liked it, but it wasn't what's right for me. And then recently I just had a feeling. I've always loved what Theo Vaughn does. He's like a comedian, he's a funny dude. But he's talking about his mental health struggles. And not a lot of men do that. Because it takes a lot of strength to be vulnerable. Because you don't know how other people are going to react. And that's scary. Especially when you're really putting yourself out there. Which he does. And he's had some moments I can still picture. I could play it in my mind right now. A clip of him saying if nothing changes, nothing changes. And there's more like that. He also said without a struggle, there is no story. Where it's people hate that they have to battle through things, but would you want to watch a movie where the main character had to go through nothing? That's boring. Boring. I really don't like boring. I would rather have anything else than boring, which is I'll take the struggle. The struggle is what makes life beautiful. So many things are the opposite of what you would think. Death, Most people are scared of death. I'm a little scared of death. I think it's a good thing to be scared of. But it's the best teacher. If I'm worrying about anything, like the perfect workout plan, and I remember I'm gonna die, it immediately just is like, why would I worry so much about that? Like, there's no matter what I do, I'm gonna die. And that's what, like, I think that's what a lot of worrying comes from. It's like you're trying to be perfect forever, but forever, you don't get forever. You get, you don't even know how much time you get, and that is terrifying. But all you can do is like make the most of it. And that's why like there's no workout routine that's gonna have me live forever. I don't think. Trust me, I'm working on it. But I think everything has cons, and I'm gonna die, so it really, what it does is it makes it crystal clear what matters. Because you realize you have limited time and you shouldn't spend it worrying. Like if you knew you were gonna die tomorrow, how would you spend tonight? And whenever I use it a lot. And it's not, I didn't make this up. There's an expression where it's called like memento mori. I think it's like Italian. It means like remember you will die. And sometimes I'll be like, I probably shouldn't drink tonight. Like drinking's not the best thing in the world for you. And and like my friends would be like, yo, come drinking with us. I'm like, nah, it's not the best thing in the world for me. What? Who gives a shit? What? Like you're gonna you're gonna die. Have some fun, man. You deserve it. You deserve to have fun because life is not easy. It's hard, but it's beautiful and it's worth it. And I could give you one piece of advice, I'd probably try to give you 20. But if you really said, Wes, listen, man, if you could give me one piece of advice, what would it be? And I would say, well, 21 Savage, see, every time I do that, I forget what I'm going to say. But I always remember too. Um, I would say cut yourself some slack, 21. Because you deserve it. You've been through a lot. There's no one, I don't believe that there's anyone in the world who isn't going through a lot. Like bad things happen daily. But a lot of good things happen too. And that's what I choose to focus on. My mom told me, she said a lot of this, my whole life growing up, she's like, life's about balance. And it made me so angry. I don't know if she always used it in the best way, but she was right. And another thing she was right about was um I don't remember. What was I talking about? maybe that's where we end it. Because it'll be a reminder that if you don't remember, how important could it have been? And yeah, I want to remember. I wish I remembered, but I don't. And I can't change that. And I would love to keep talking, but a bigger part of me is a little tired, and I would also love to go to bed. And I think I'm going to do that. Genuinely, if you're still listening, it's hard for me to put into words how much that means to me. But I'd like to say thank you, and I hope what I'm saying is helping. And I love you. Peace.